Fox Sports welcomes you to the following presentation of the National Football League.
Redskins ready to kick off. Jake Gruden in his second year, 8 wins after a total of 7 Redskin victories in the previous 2 seasons. And for Jason Garrett, last year headed into the postseason, now trying to avoid the Cowboys' worst record since 1989. Lucky Whitehead back to receive. Dustin Hopkins, who was picked up in September primarily for his touchbacks. It's an area the Redskins improved upon. And the regular season wrap-up, Washington and Dallas underway. It'll be a touchback. Whitehead takes it in the back of the end zone. Kellen Moore leading the offense from the 20-yard line. His second NFL start. His 50 wins in college at Boise State are the most ever in college football history.
And we all know Kellen Moore spent time in Detroit backing up Matthew Stafford. He comes here getting his second starting opportunity. Coaches love his smarts, his ability to understand what's going on the football field. He's definitely got a challenged arm, but he's a really good football player. Get an opportunity to see him for the second time today.
180!
Darren McFadden trying to go over the 1,000-yard mark. Mentioned that Des Bryant was put on injured reserve for the foot and ankle. Bryce Butler starts in his spot, and on the offensive line, Witten only had 2 targets last week, the fewest this season. On 2nd and 9, McFadden with running room. And gets up across the 25 and goes over 1,000 yards for this season. Only the second season where he's played in all 16 games. And the Redskin defense, Terrence Knighton, the load up front. Jason Hatcher, inactive today, but should be ready for the playoffs. And in the secondary, Deshaun Golson, inactive. But D'Angelo Hall over at the safety spot, one of the leaders on this team who has moved over from corner and done well. Compton taking in the defensive signals on 3rd and 3. Moore off the hands of Cole Beasley. Three and out, so the Cowboys will bring out their punter, and Jamison Crowder, the rookie, who stepped in well at receiver when the Redskins had injuries during the year. He can fly back to receive.
Jamison Crowder has had a nice year as a receiver. He took over the primary punt returning duties. We'll see a lot of him on offense today with some of these starters getting a break later in this football game.
Punt goes out of bounds. Crowder never had a chance, just trying to track it. And they will spot this. They're moving all the way up to the 28-yard line. It's a pretty good field position for Kirk Cousins. Just under a 70% completion rate, 26 touchdowns and 11 interceptions, and nearing the 4,000-yard mark.
And he told us, Chris, that he absolutely wanted to play in this football game today. He talked about momentum, talking about building on some of the things that they've done really well in the past 3 weeks, and see if they can get something going here early in this football game, get this offense to maintain what we've seen of late.
And on 1st down, Cousins completes. There's Jordan Reed, who's dancing around for a 1st down up near the 39-yard line. The running backs, Alfred Morris, is going to miss out on a 4th straight 1,000-yard season. Matt Jones inactive, but he'll be ready for the playoffs. And an offensive line with Trent Williams resting up with the knee and foot injury, but one that the rookie Brandon Sheriff has done a good job. When they've needed to run, they have been able to run.
Brandon Sheriff, Morgan Moses, the second-year right tackle. That is where the strength of this offensive line is now. And going forward in the future, you got to be optimistic the way these guys have played here of late, too.
180!
Catch made at the 40, and moving upfield is Pierre Garçon. DeMarcus Lawrence in the Dallas defense. Last 7 games, he's had 7 sacks. Sean Lee is inactive today. He's the team's leading tackler and a career high in tackles. So Kyle Wilbur slips in to the linebacking core, and Morris Claiborne out with a hamstring injury.
And they'll miss, obviously, Sean Lee. He was having a fantastic year. Probably a Pro Bowl year, didn't get voted in. But Wilbur gets an opportunity to start at will linebacker. He has 4 starts at the other linebacker this year.
Thompson in at running back, gets the football and knocked down right away just short of the 43-yard line. Trent Williams, we mentioned, an observer here, but an important part of that offensive line in the sense that you want to make sure Kirk Cousins is protected enough in this game so he's healthy for the playoffs.
Well, I think we'll see a lot out of Kirk Cousins and Sean McVay, the offensive coordinator. What we've seen on the first couple of passes, get it out of his hand quickly, protect your quarterback with number 79 getting that start at left tackle. And Greg Hardy's got to be licking his lips over here with the guy that hasn't played a lot this year and needing 2 sacks for his bonuses and all whatnot that happens at the end of the year.
On 3rd and 6, time for Cousins. And the pass is low. That's Ryan Grant, but not good enough for the first down. Let's get a game break and check in with Mike Hill.
Giants and Eagles could be Tom Coughlin's last game. Chip Kelly already gone, and guess who's liking life without Chip? DeMarco Murray, the embattled running back. Johnson, 54 yards for the touchdown. And just like that, 7-0 Eagles in the first. Chris, Rondé, back to you.
Cowboy fans don't like to see DeMarco Murray having success for the Eagles.
Have not seen a lot of that with them from the Eagles this year either.
Tress Way, his punt towards Whitehead. Fair catch called for at the 6. In between that, should I let it drop and roll or should I grab it? So the Cowboys' second possession on offense. Scoreless here in the opening quarter.
Southwest, transparency, no fares, nothing to hide.
With Murray out of the picture, McFadden signed to share the load. He's carried the load. The 28-year-old in his 8th season. His second 1,000-yard rushing season, going over that mark moments ago. And on first down, McFadden trying to find some running room. And let's check in down on the field with Jennifer Hale.
Well, Chris, certainly Darren McFadden is experiencing a resurgence here in Dallas after 7 years with the Oakland Raiders. Talking to running backs coach Gary Brown, he says the difference he notices in McFadden is that in his 8th year, he's really taking things seriously, realizing that he doesn't have forever, paying attention, Chris, to all the little details that make a difference.
He got a $300,000 bonus, Jen, for going over 1,000 yards, and Stephen Jones telling us he's in the plans for their future. More on the run, incomplete for McFadden.
You know, to me, Chris, what they've done in the running game, obviously is a lot of credit to Darren McFadden, but it's the dividends of having invested in the offensive line. You know, 3 first-round draft picks up there the past couple of years. You get Collins, who really could have been a first-round pick as well, if not for the incidents that leading up to the draft. So they have a foundation in place. They got a runner that they like, and maybe they'll invest another running back onto this football team. But it is one of the positives of this 2015 Cowboys season.
Got an Omaha from Kellen Moore on 3rd and 8, and the screen misplayed by somebody. It's 4th down.
Well, definitely not a good start here for the, I guess, inexperienced quarterback. He's not young. He's been around. Can't get on the same page, and converting first downs has been a problem for the Cowboys all season long, and it continues here early in this football game.
It's the second worst offense in the NFL, scoring points, averaging under 17 points a game. The 49ers, the lowest number, and so another 3 and out. Chris Jones in his own end zone, and Crowder hoping to have an opportunity back at the Redskin 40. Driven out of there, and it'll bounce around midfield, and here goes Crowder. Lost a little bit after getting up near the 45. Brought down at the 49 by Jeff Heath. Redskins, winners of the NFC East, take over on offense.
For the NFL.
Jordan Reed, record-setting catch, owns the Redskin tight end record for catches, breaking that of Chris Cooley, part of the broadcast team of Washington. And another touchdown, and he'll add another record. That's Crowder with running room. Jamison Crowder. all the way inside the 3-yard line of the Cowboys. Orlando McClain saved a touchdown.
Very nice play execution here by Washington. This is your receiver right here in the slot. Fake the play action, come back on this little slip screen and watch the offensive lineman get out front and then just leave the rest up to this dynamic rookie who gets down inside the red zone. This is an ideal situation, Chris, for me, for the Washington Redskins. You get an offense on a short field. Kirk Cousins wants to keep this momentum, keep the reps going, and they're inside the red zone here early.
A gain of 44 yards, first and goal with Alfred Morris in the backfield. Cousins for Ryan Grant, and touchdown Redskins.
Chris, this is an offense that is not running the ball well, but they're running it consistently, and when you do that, you give yourself an opportunity to set up play action pass, boots out of the pockets. Kirk Cousins makes a fantastic throw here, and watch 14, he's going to come here and just a little bootleg, come back out to the other side, underneath the quarterback, just another well-designed play, gets Dallas sleeping a little bit, and an easy touchdown.
So the big gainer to Crowder, the rookie, to set up Grant, the second-year player from Tulane, and 5 out of 5 is Cousins, increasing his completion percentage and adding a touchdown. And the extra point is good. And the Redskins with a quick 7-0 lead on the 27th touchdown pass of the year by Kirk Cousins.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by the all-new Fiat 500X crossover.
And then this is the final regular season game, so Brady, Russell Wilson, Bortles have a chance to equal that. Russell Wilson plays later today on Fox, and what an outstanding year he's had, with Colt McCoy, the backup, and Robert Griffin III, the inactive again today.
And Kurt is such a competitor. Sit down with the kid and call him a kid. He feels like he's been around for a long time, but hasn't had a lot of snaps, obviously. Seen every single one of them this year for the Redskins, and it's been great if you're a Redskins fan watching his development.
Well, he's a ball of enthusiasm and encouragement. You feel it when you talk to him, and you can see it in his play as Hopkins drives this through the end zone. Cowboys haven't had a kickoff return for a touchdown since 2008. It's always good to come to Texas for a Redskin-Cowboy game, regardless of what's going on in the standings. You like the plan, and Jay Gruden was very careful about not wanting to lose momentum with this Redskin team going into the playoffs, but protecting players from injury.
Well, there's certain guys, quarterback perhaps, that are going to be on snap counts. But yes, he has a football team that's riding high. They've got a 3-game winning streak, and you talk about breaking up the season into quarters. They want to finish their quarter with 4 straight wins.
Kellen Moore completes the pass at the 25. Bryce Butler, who again got the start for Dez Bryant. Boy, what a disappointing year, not only with Tony Romo's injury, but Dez Bryant battling injury and not very productive when he was out there playing hurt. But Butler, a guy who Jason Garrett says gives him a little juice, some big playability, who can move inside, outside.
Well, he's got great size, and we'll get a chance to showcase that today with Dez being out. There's been some, I guess, hankerings around here about the quarterback play, but it's encompassing everybody. Nobody's been up to par.
McFadden, a tough run across the 31-yard line. Well, it started with Romo, and Cowboy fans are familiar with Brandon Wheaton, who was moved out for Matt Castle, who is the backup today, and then Kellen Moore with his second start after starting up in Buffalo. But Cowboys were just hoping with the initial injury to Romo that they would be able to win a few games and he could come back and play. He tried to come back, got hurt again. There's Matt Castle looking on. And Wheaton doing well for the other Texas team, Houston, hoping to get into the playoffs. McFadden is a receiver, bottom of your screen. Moore with time. A pass behind the line of scrimmage. Terrence Williams all the way across the field. He's going to get a first down. And that gets the crowd excited up near midfield.
What a fantastic run after the catch here. But Terrence Williams does most of this on his own. But the one thing that disturbs you when you watch the Washington Redskins defense is how many missed tackles that they have, and not a lot of bodies around Williams here as he makes this about 80 yards worth of run from 15. Big play for the Cowboys offense.
Leads the team in receiving yards and added to it with 19 on that, a lot of it with his legs. And a sack. Ryan Kerrigan in on Kellen Moore.
And Ryan Kerrigan with this right at the end of your line of scrimmage, going to get this double play action, really fake to reverse, fake to handoff, and Jason Witten is just a step too late out of his stance, and Ryan Kerrigan comes home with the sack.
And he told his head coach, what do you mean? I'm not playing every snap of this game. No rest for me. I'm tuning up for the playoffs, going all out.
And there's certain attitude on this Redskins team that's just like that. Talked about Kirk Cousins wanting that ability. Ryan Kerrigan said the same thing. I talked to D'Angelo Hall. He wants the reps. They know they got a chance in the playoffs, and they want to stay hot.
After a loss of 8, it's McFadden. Gets up to the 47 after running into Kaishan Jarrett. And it looks like Jarrett is the one in pain here who ran into McFadden. Clanging clash of helmets. Check on Jarrett here in Texas. Stand up on his own with some guidance, get over to the to the sideline, after that head-on collision with Darren McFadden, and hope that he's okay. And McFadden a little shaken up as well. Jerron Johnson will come in at that safety spot for the Redskins.
And the Redskins talking to them before this game, were going to try to rotate some of their safeties. D'Angelo Hall, who had a calf injury at the end of last week's game, wasn't looking to play the whole game, but it appears that rotation is out the window if Kaishan Jarrett is out of the football game.
52's down, 51's to right. 52's down, 51's to right. 51's to right, 52's down. Hey, my son.
A lot of chatter going on 3rd and 14. Middle of the field, high and intercepted. Will Compton has it. It was intended for Jason Witten. And the takeaway straight out of Compton. He gets back to the 42.
And this ball just sails out of his hair. This is Will Compton right here. He's trying to get the ball to Jason Witten, and it's late down the middle of the field. Sometimes a dangerous pass. High, and Will Compton, who took over the starting inside linebacker job here about a month and a half ago, comes up with a big play, big turnover, takeaway for this Redskins defense.
And a guy who they've moved around to a lot of different linebacker positions, and Joe Barry, defensive coordinator, said he just knows the game. He knows where to be and where the offensive players are going to be. And Jason Garrett's team suffering the turnover.
And not only that, Will Compton, you look at Keenan Robinson, who started the year at that position, one of the most athletic players on this Redskins defense, and he can't get on the football field. But yes, this Cowboys offense, another turnover. I think they lead the league now in interceptions.
And a 24-yard return.
180! What's up?
Alfred Morris gets the football and gets down inside the 37, 38-yard line before getting shoved back. Let's get another game break with Mike Hill.
Steelers need a win. Jets lost to get into the playoffs, and Ben Roethlisberger doing his part, finding his tight end Heath Miller for the 2-yard score. 7-0 Steelers. It's scoreless in Buffalo between the Jets and Bills right now, but we'll keep you updated. Chris, Rondon, back to you.
All right, thank you. Kellen Moore frustrated. It's been a rough start. Suffering the pick. That was Compton's first interception of the season. There's the playoff picture at the moment in the AFC. If games having an effect for those trying to get in.
180! What is that?
On second down, Morris met right away at the 40 by Byron Jones. It'll be third down.
Dallas defense has done a good job all year with run blitzes, and Rod Marinelli will draw up these opportunities today because you know that Washington is going to want to run the football, try to shorten this game. You already see Kaishan Jarrett get hurt. They can't afford injuries week 17 of the season going into the playoffs. But this Dallas defense, we know that it's going to play hard. See if they can get themselves back in this game with a stop here.
Pierre Thomas checks in. Had a big game against the Philadelphia Eagles in the Redskin division clincher. Cousins for Pierre Garçon, who has it, and he's in with a Redskin touchdown.
Good job by Kirk Cousins, buying time in the pocket, the willingness to step up and throw this ball down the field. And then Pierre Garçon, one of the best competitors on this Redskins team, makes a fantastic catch here, leaping catch through the falling down secondary of the Cowboys. And it's 14-0 early.
6th touchdown catch of the season for Garçon, and Cousins 6 out of 6 with a couple of scoring tosses against this Dallas defense. And the extra point, 14-0. Redskins out to avenge the last time they lost to a team. It was to the Dallas team at the Redskin home park. And for 3rd on the Redskin all-time touchdown passing list of the season, Sonny Jurgensen, Joe Theismann, both in the building, by the way. Jurgensen part of the radio broadcast of the Washington Redskins. Cousins talked about staying in rhythm, tuning up for the playoffs. Well, he has been on it so far.
He also talked about hitting your stride, and once they started hitting their stride, the confidence level of this offense just exploded. And Jay Gruden was telling us yesterday that yes, because of Kirk Cousins' success and his ability throwing the football, they're comfortable dropping back and throwing it 40 times a game. We'll see that today, but it's going to play dividends for them in the playoffs.
January 17th, the first ever UFC title bout comes to FS1. Bantamweight champ TJ Dillashaw puts his belt on the line, taking on former champ Dominic Cruz, and former world champion Anthony Pettis battles Eddie Alvarez Sunday, January 17th on FS1. Sonny Jurgensen, the Hall of Famer, impressed with what he has seen out of the 4th round draft pick Kirk Cousins. McFadden with room. And a first down up near the 35-yard line. Best offensive play of the day other than the Terrence Williams run to help this Cowboy offense.
Good block on the edge here. Obviously some good blocking up front to spring them. But Bryce Butler getting after Will Blackman, able to get some extra yardage for Darren McFadden.
Six carries for 31 yards already for McFadden. Ball's loose and the Redskins are on it. It was an awkward exchange. Chris Baker has it and then dishes it off. D'Angelo Hall down at the 18 of Dallas.
Well, just mistakes that you can't have if you're the Dallas Cowboys. You want to get back in the game. Center quarterback exchange, the most fundamental part of football. Can't get that right. And the problems continue. The myriad of problems continue for the Cowboys.
Well, the good news for the Redskins is they're flying into the playoffs the way they want to. And for Dallas, Jason Garrett talked about preparation and finishing strong. He said that's been the problem with this Dallas team all year long, is that they just haven't been able to finish. Well, they're not starting well either. And the Redskins, nobody has been better at forcing and recovering fumbles this year than the Redskins. They lead the NFL in that department.
And D'Angelo Hall last week picked up a fumble, went in for a touchdown. The first player in the history of the game to have 5 interceptions for touchdowns, 5 fumbles for touchdowns. He's changing positions to safety.
I hope he knows those people.
My contact further back prior to the fumble. We'll review the play.
But D'Angelo Hall, just to get back to him, he's been a ball magnet over his career, and making that transition to safety is going to probably help prolong his career a little bit.
Well, and for Travis Frederick, remember, he's got 4 different starting quarterbacks this year, shuffling in and out in terms of Kellen Moore, his second start. So the exchanges, the way they like the football, it's been a challenge for this Dallas team. They're checking the spot. So certainly the fumble recovery to Washington and all turnovers are reviewed. So was he down there, or are they going to give him the yardage when he lost it to D'Angelo Hall? Right now it's spotted at the 18-yard line.
I don't see anybody in white touching him, and before he gets touched down by Frederick there, the ball is out, and D'Angelo Hall is
likely to stay as called. Our rules analyst Mike Pereira watching along with us as he does all of the games back in Los Angeles at the Fox Network Center.
But you mentioned this Redskins defense and their turnovers, be able to create fumbles, and they're not a great unit. I wouldn't say they're a great unit. They don't have a bunch of superstars running around just dominating people, but they're opportunistic. Saw the interception earlier. You mentioned they lead the league now in fumble recoveries. Big credit to the defense.
The runner was down by contact with possession at the 29.5-yard line. Please reset the game clock to 3:41. 3:41 in the game clock, please.
So I think what our referee is saying is that when Baker, that's John Perry, when Baker got to the football, it looked like his leg may have touched Kellen Moore, who was already on the ground trying to recover the football. That's what would bring back the spot. And right there, yep, you see Kellen Moore has his hand on his knee, so that's a correct call. It's still the Redskins fumble recovery. Baker, just no advancement from Hall.
Wait, hold on. All right, we're good. On that knee. Wait, hold on. Hey, Rhino, stop.
Pass is caught, brought down right away at the 25 is Garcon.
And you got to imagine Kirk Cousins needs 120 yards in this game, whatever it is.
Coming in, now he's only 9 yards away from becoming the all-time single-season passing yardage leader in Redskin history. It would break Jay Schrader's mark, and he's 7 out of 7 so far.
Model of efficiency Kirk Cousins is, and he has been. Jay Gruden and Sean McVay, the play callers, are keeping their options open here in their offense. Saw empty package, doing everything.
After a gain of 6, it's Morris. Maybe got down to the 21.
In a game like this, too, Chris, you would think, since they've struggled so much running the football this season, that you would use this opportunity, turn around, hand the ball off to Alfred Morris, get that offensive line going, because you're going to need it. I mean, they're going to play, obviously, outside in Washington, first round of the playoffs. And then if they continue there, they got some tough road games, potentially, where running the football is going to need to be an asset of theirs.
Currently the 4th seed. At the halftime of the Sunday night game, the Redskins, they'll announce at least when they're playing. They're going to be at home, but who they play won't be decided till after the Vikings and Packers game is over. Could be Seattle or either one of those two as Morris gets the first down. Nearing the 2-minute mark of the opening quarter, dominated by Kirk Cousins passing on the Redskin defense. Washington with a couple of takeaways, Cousins with a couple of touchdown passes, and it looks like DeMarcus Lawrence slow to get up for Dallas. Appears to be okay, being helped over to the sideline.
DeMarcus Lawrence has been on fire in the second half of this season. In his second season, 4 games with sacks. He's been the one guy that's consistently gotten better on this defensive line. Rod Marinelli was glowing about him in his play of late.
So Randy Gregory, the rookie from Nebraska, who was drafted in the 2nd round, comes over.
8:59. Rock. 180. What's up?
It's Morris straight ahead. Morris down to the 10. He came in averaging just over 3.5 yards a carry. Struggled this season a bit, but not here.
Watch the tackle guard blocks here. Get the double team. And straightaway runs. It's not really the forte of the Washington Redskins. If you watch them, you know they like stretch runs. Alfred Morris cutting back up inside. But it sets an attitude when you get those big guys up front and you run right at the heart of a defense.
Picked up 8 yards. This is his 6th carry today. Alfred Morris carried a total of 6 times in the meeting with the Cowboys earlier this year. Let's check in with Mike Hill.
Jets can get that 6th seed in the playoffs with a win or a Pittsburgh loss. Not looking good so far. Tyrod Taylor with the 18-yard score for the Bills, putting them on top 7-0. Meanwhile, in Cleveland, Pittsburgh leading the Browns 7-3 in the first. Back to you.
All right, so the Jets need to win to get in. If they lose and the Steelers win, they get in. We'll be watching these all afternoon. America's game of the week later, many will see the Arizona Cardinals and the Seattle Seahawks. Cousins for the end zone. Juggled incomplete. Pierre Garçon got his hands on it.
He caught it with one hand. He just happened to be out of bounds when he came down with it. Excellent throw. Terrific one-handed catch. But yes, out of bounds juggling.
Now he was complaining about being shoved by Olatoye.
He's allowed to do that. And Olatoye over there getting this opportunity with some of the injuries in the secondary.
Garçon shoves back, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. I got plenty of Garçon stories from my playing days. But Olatoye, good young corner, getting an opportunity to start. Don't tell me this game means nothing to, especially to a guy like Olatoye out there.
First incompletion for Cousins. And now for the end zone again, having to get rid of it a little early as he got knocked down at the 15-yard line. Trying to go to Crowder. It'll be 3rd and goal.
Greg Hardy getting a rush here. Beats the cut block, and this is what you don't want. You're Jay Gruden on the sideline. Seeing Hardy just bury your quarterback. That look tells everything. Do not take hits like that, Kirk Cousins.
30 quarterback pressures in 11 games for Hardy coming in, and the fans here want to stop on 3rd and goal. Cousins for the end zone. Touchdown! It's Jamison Crowder.
And I'm not sure what Dallas is doing here on defense, but this was 7-on-7 throw and catch here for Kirk Cousins to Crowder. Nobody even around the receiver when he caught this, and just an easy step into the end zone. Crowder's right here, and just watch the back end of this defense. I think they're playing man-to-man, and Terrence Mitchell there, gets picked, and Kirk Cousins makes an easy throw in the 3rd straight drive for a touchdown.
Crowder's 2nd touchdown of the season, the 5'8" rookie from Duke. Earlier in the game, remember he had the 44-yard completion. That was his longest of the season, and the extra point by Hopkins. And the Redskins in the opening quarter working over the Dallas defense. Of course, the 2 turnovers by the Dallas offense hasn't helped, but Kirk Cousins marching the team in 8 plays, 30 yards after the fumble recovery, and his 3rd touchdown of this game. You know, if you go back historically, Robert Griffin III, who we talked to, who as a rookie got this team to the playoffs in the same draft, people questioned, why do you pick Cousins in the 4th round? Well, in October, Mike Shanahan, who was the head coach at the time, had this quote that we thought we'd dig out for you, referring to Cousins. I think he's a guy that could take your team and win a Super Bowl, and that's the biggest compliment I can give somebody. Cousins told us that he still hears from Shanahan. Of course, Jay Gruden and this current Redskins staff developing Kirk Cousins, but he gets texts from him, and he works well on positive reinforcement.
Well, I think some of the people that evaluate Kirk Cousins and have talked to Kirk Cousins felt like he was somewhat disappointing in his first couple of years. When he had the opportunity to play, I mean, he was somewhat reckless with the football. Didn't have a lot of snaps, so there wasn't a lot of time to self-correct himself. In this offseason, he told us he rededicated himself to getting him to turn himself into the best player he could be, and we're seeing the results.
Dustin Hopkins this time wants some type of return, and Lucky Whitehead on the bounce. And works his way up to the 25-yard line. Redskins again, the 4 seed, nothing can change here. They will be at home either Saturday or Sunday hosting a playoff game. And all the NFC playoff teams are set. It's just who has what. Carolina, Arizona, either one can be the 1 seed. Vikings play the Packers. Seattle could end up coming to Washington. I know that's something D'Angelo Hall talked about, as it'd be nice to get a little revenge for the last time the Seahawks went through the postseason of Washington. Kellen Moore. Robert Turbin knocked out of bounds. Now Moore, when we asked Jason Garrett, he's really not even playing for the number 2 spot here. He's just playing out the string, and this opening quarter is a string Jason Garrett would like to forget against the rival Redskins. 3 touchdown passes from Kirk Cousins. Washington leads 21-0. With Rondé Barber, Jen Hale on the field, Chris Myers here, and moments ago Greg Hardy, and you'll see Orlando Scandrick in street clothes there, gathering the defense and trying to hold things together. Sean Lee inactive today, and a 21-0 deficit. Kellen Moore's pass, he is caught, and getting near the first down. Terrence Williams looks like he got enough for it, and it's good enough for a first down.
I've been in games like this, Chris. End of the year, really feel like everything's going wrong for you on the season. You start the game, everything goes wrong. You're down 21-0. I'd like when teammates get themselves together, gathered around, try to rally themselves, because again, it's a Week 17 game, and it means nothing in the standings, but it means a lot to the players playing. You got 16 weeks. You sign up for 16 at the beginning of the season. Finish it.
Robert Turbin, the carry, and fights hard to get up near the 38. Compton, who had his first career interception earlier in this game, making the tackle.
And we need to see this Dallas offense start converting third downs, whether it's Kellen Moore finding a rhythm in his passing game, whether it's the running game starting to explode. Something's got to happen on this Dallas offense, something positive. See if they can start this rally, the needed rally in this football game.
They need a rally like TCU had in the bowl game against Oregon. Turbin again. Hit hard. Compton got to him, and then a couple of other Redskins, encouraging to see, knocking his helmet off. The whistle had blown. All right already. Turbin and Compton, there's a flag down. Now you're seeing a little more fight.
Need that fight. Turbin running hard, Compton tackling hard. Obviously a rival division game.
Cowboys have won 4 of the last 5.
Personal foul, offense, number 87. 15-yard penalty, the down counts.
Saying the Cowboys have won 4 of the last 5 in this rivalry.
Very good tackle there. Gang tackling by this Redskins defense.
87 Swaim. See, they're calling him for the...
Well, he gets involved in there late.
Like D'Angelo Hall.
Yeah, I'm not sure that
took a swing at him.
I'm not sure that the foul there should have been on Swaim. But the NFL all season long has been discouraging these type of altercations after the play. So I see why the flag came out.
And a quicker whistle might have helped that situation. That's 3rd and 19. Underneath. And James Hanna falling at the 30. It'll be 4th down. A Cowboy offense that in 4 games this year didn't produce any touchdowns. Although time of possession is something that they have actually, you're not seeing it here, but during the course of the year they were able to kind of chalk up that.
They've been good possessing the ball, maintaining drives, but they get into the red zone and they're converting less than 30% of their opportunities, and that's where the lack of points comes. But today we haven't seen any of that. Can't get the ball past midfield here.
And 0 for 4 on 3rd down as Jones drives this punt to Crowder at the 20. And he'll be smothered at the 22-yard line, knocked backwards. Jeff Heath again on the special teams play. Redskins, they have the lead and they have the football.
Only at Pizza Hut. By AT&T, mobilizing your world. And by Pepsi. Go behind the scenes of the Pepsi Super Bowl 50 halftime show only on Pepsi.com.
Welcome back to Dallas, where the Redskins defense will now be operating the rest of the day without Kyshawn Jarrett. He's been ruled out with a neck and shoulder stinger. However, he is still working his way through the concussion protocol. Possible that head injury could be worse. We will let you know, Chris, as soon as we know more.
All right, thank you. DeMarcus Lawrence, a knee injury. He's out for Dallas at the moment. Jordan Reed with another catch. Kirk Cousins, by the way, the first Redskin quarterback in history with 3 touchdown passes in the first quarter.
How about that? Kirk Cousins continues on his fantastic 2015 campaign. And we asked these guys, what do they think their chances are in the postseason? And I loved all their responses about they're still just trying to get better. They know that there's a ceiling that they haven't reached, especially on offense.
Why did he? What's up?
2nd and 7. Morris straight ahead. Let's get a game break and say hi to Kurt Menefee. Kurt?
Hello, Chris. Buffalo saying hello to a big lead against the Jets. Carlos Williams on 4th and 1 gets a 2-yard score. They missed the extra point, but they lead the Jets 13-0. New York needing to win to get into the playoffs.
Well, Rex Ryan, maybe you think he's mixing up a little special potion for that game? Disappointing year for Buffalo and trying to make it that way for the Jets, who if they win, they're in the playoffs. 3rd and 5 for Cousins. For Crowder, he's got it. Kept his feet in, and yes, at the 44, and that is the record for passing yardage. Cousins on that throw. 4,000 plus, so he passes Jay Schrader's 86 mark.
Well, here's the route. You're going to see him come all the way and come out the sideline. And Crowder is the benefit of a terrific touch pass by Kirk Cousins down that sideline. And again, I continue to be impressed. He talked about going into the playoffs playing your best football. Well, this kid right here is playing his best football by far.
Why did he? What's up?
Cousins at age 27 has found his rhythm, floating it for Reed perfectly. Ball comes out, but it's out of bounds. Catch made. Jay Schrader back in 1986. The Redskin high water mark at the moment, 4,109 yards. He was the NFC's top passer, second only to Dan Marino in the entire NFL. Remember Gary Clark and Art Monk, the top receivers, both more than 1,000 receiving yards. And that season, the Redskins with a 12-4 record before falling in the NFC Championship game to the Giants. But now Kirk Cousins owns the mark. Can he take the Redskins further into the postseason? After again at 29, Pierre Thomas. And you know, Thomas, an interesting story because Jay Gruden said, I like guys that you can sign on Monday and they play on Sunday. They actually signed him Wednesday and he played on Saturday. So they've had a few guys like that. Alex Smith, the tight end, and Mason Foster and Will Blackman.
And you mentioned Pierre Thomas. We had a game early in the year where he came off being on his couch and played for San Francisco. He only lasted a week there, but it's nice to have veterans that you could just plug and play into your system, and they found some gems. The GM and the head coach and all these guys identifying some talent, and they're helping them as they make their playoff run.
Lawrence back on the field for the Cowboys. On 2nd and 9, high snap gathered by Cousins, middle of the field, Reed, knocked down. It'll bring up 3rd down.
Jordan Reed, I'm telling you, he's one unique talent. Over 900 yards receiving, 80-plus catches. And he is a special route runner. It's right here, but watch the move. The jukes at the top of his route and just leaves Rolando McClain in the dust. You see him do that on linebackers. I've seen him do it on corners when he splits out wide. He is very, very tough to deal with.
And he missed a couple of games back in October with a concussion. Boy, did this offense miss him.
He's right there at the top of the screen. Let's see if Kirk Cousins dials him up for a touchdown off.
On 3rd and 4, underneath that Crowder couldn't hang on. It'll be 4th down. So the Cowboy defense in this first half finally keeps Kirk Cousins and the Redskin offense out of the end zone.
That's what this Cowboys defense has been most of the year. He talked about them staying in football games. It's a bend don't break kind of mentality with this unit. They're able to get off here. And Chris, would imagine the record's done with Kirk Cousins. They come back on offense. We could be seeing Colt McCoy in the football game. And Sean McVay told me they want to get snaps for Colt McCoy. He hasn't had a lot of looks this year. You never know when you might need a backup quarterback.
Dustin Hopkins to try a 27-yard field goal. And nailed it. 24 out of 27 this year, and he really improved the touchback area, which is why the Redskins added him in September. Another one of those moves that have worked out well for Washington. The record-setting Redskin quarterback Kirk Cousins. Robert Griffin wishing him well, and Cousins, who back at Michigan State, the Big Ten media, his speech prompted him to write a book called Game Changer, Faith, Football, and Finding Your Way. And that's what Jay Gruden said this year once we named him the starter. He found his way, and the team has followed.
I got to say, there's probably been two great casting decisions this year. One was Daisy Ridley as Rey in the new Star Wars movie, but the big one was Kirk Cousins, starting quarterback of the Washington Redskins. If you haven't seen that movie.
So you do football and movie reviews.
Yeah, if you haven't seen The Force Awakens, definitely go see it.
Well, the Redskins have awakened, and the fact in the last 8 years, each team in the NFC East has won 2 division titles. This one for the Redskins coming behind that man.
Sponsored by Chevrolet. Find new roads.
Some of the beautiful artwork here and around AT&T Stadium. The world-class collection consisting of 58 pieces can be seen by all the fans, the visitors that come here to visit the home of the Cowboys, and Rhonda and I getting to witness some of that. And Jerry Jones and his family, connoisseurs of artwork. Jay Gruden saying, now next week let's keep it going in the playoffs. Still waiting to find out who they're going to play, and may not know till the night after the Packer-Viking game. Kellen Moore with a first down to Terrence Williams.
And this is where Kellen Moore can be really good when he drops back, hits his back foot, and lets the ball go. He doesn't have the arm strength to pump it down the field, but he is very accurate when he is on rhythm. The Cowboys, if they can get on rhythm, get back into this football game.
See the last 5 possessions and how it has gone for this offense, putting more and more pressure on the defense, and that's been the story of this Cowboy team. The lack of Tony Romo and offensive production has exposed a lot of weaknesses that the Cowboys will try and correct for next year. McFadden trying to find a block. He's down around the 24-yard line.
That's a fantastic point you make, Chris, about lack of production at the quarterback position, or just really some ineptness at the position. And you know, it really makes you realize how valuable Tony Romo is as a quarterback. People have lamented some of his mistakes over the years, but his numbers, and I played against him, were phenomenal. And he makes this offense go, and without him, they have been lacking severely.
Cowboys will address the quarterback position either in the draft or the offseason behind Romo, who will be 36 next season.
Rita, 51 to Mike. Almost
Moore, his arm was hit, pass released, and it was Mason Foster who hit him. Scott Linehan, the offensive coordinator for the Cowboys, knew of Kellen Moore from his time back in Detroit, and was one who said, let's bring him in here and help us get through these rough spots, and like some of the way he played the quarterback position, the efficiency. You've talked about his arm strength. But so far, they've been unable to convert a first down. 0 for 4 today.
Stay. 54 to Mike. 54 to Mike. Galvin. Right. 180.
Cole Beasley fighting out of bounds short of the first down. D'Angelo Hall wouldn't let him get loose.
Well, Washington dials up a zero pressure here and forces this ball out quickly, and then all you have to do is come up and tackle it, and D'Angelo Hall, playing in the slot, coming down to safety, gets them off the field for their 5th failed third down conversion. It's unbelievable this offense can't get anything going, and credit this Redskins team. They've been nearly flawless in the first quarter and a half of this football game.
It's a fake. Straight ahead run. Depends on the spot. Falling forward. The Cowboys, the direct snap inward. On 4th and 1. Jeff Heath, who's been making special teams tackles in the first half, he gets the snap and goes right up the middle.
And why not? You're down 24 points. Your offense is listless. Rich Bisaccia, Jason Garrett dialing up a play to get this thing going.
Got one of the great stadiums in the entire world with fans anxious for something to happen. Since the building opened here, AT&T Stadium, the Cowboys losing record. One win at home this year. Underneath, James Hanna down to the 43 and a first down.
It's amazing sometimes what a big play on special teams can do to galvanize your football team, and we've seen them drop back, throw the football a lot today. Darren McFadden had some early runs, but when you're down this many points, why not just let it go? Try to get yourselves back in a football game. And I like the play. I like the play call on the fake. And I like getting your young quarterback some opportunities to throw the football.
Darren McFadden in at running back, 7 carries, over 30 yards so far. Kellen Moore, 8 out of 13. He has suffered a pick and a fumble. Set to throw here. And wide open is Terrence Williams. Can he make it in the end zone? No. 3 Redskins close in a hurry, including Will Blackman.
Well, really good job here. You motion down 83 to the close to the core. You think it might be a running play. The play action gets that Redskins secondary to bite up, and then he's wide open and a nice completion and throw. And this is why you like Kellen Moore as your quarterback. Just the understanding what he's going to do to the defense when they step up. He's patient, finds his receiver, and delivers a nice ball.
A gain of 36. Best scoring chance for the Cowboys today. McFadden inside the 5. You know, Terrence Williams, when Des Bryant went out, you thought he might emerge as the go-to receiver. Looks like we have an injured player on the Redskins.
Deshaun Phillips, who is
the nickel today. And we will check on the injury to Phillips. In the regular season finale to stay sharp for the playoffs, 12 out of 15, 3 touchdown passes in the opening quarter. Only one other quarterback has done that this year in the league. That was Ryan Tannehill. And breaking Redskin records left and right, it seems. Cousins, who is a free agent after this year, no plans to franchise him. The Redskins plan to sign him, and he and his agent planning to talk after the season. He said, we talked about it. Let's just worry about it later. In the meantime, we're a little bit worried about another Redskin, Deshaun Phillips, who is injured at that nickelback position and needing the cart to help him up and out.
And they're adjusting and being careful with his neck here. It's just so unfortunate to see these type of injuries.
While they check on him, let's go to Mike Hill for another game break. Mike.
All right, guys, Brandon Marshall in his 10th season trying to get to the playoffs for the first time can get in with the win doing his part. His 14th touchdown of the season. The ties a franchise record is 13-7 Bills. Jets win and the Steelers loss, and New York is in. And right now, Steelers leading Cleveland in the second. Chris, Rhonda, back to you.
All right, thank you. Yeah, Houston is winning, and they control their path. If they win, they're in the playoffs. Cincinnati is trailing Baltimore, and New England and Miami are tied as we check the medical staff with Deshaun Phillips. Fans hoping that did see some movement there. And many of the Redskin fans who share in this rivalry and are part of this, hoping for the best. This secondary has suffered injuries throughout the course of this season.
And Keyshawn Jarrett went to the locker room earlier. Now Phillips is out. Jeremy Harris is getting into the football game, and here's Phillips coming in late onto this tackle, and just you see the impact that Darren McFadden puts on his head and neck area, and he crumbles immediately. And again, never want to speculate what could or could not be wrong with him, but the medical staff is taking very care to get him on this board and take him out of the stadium here.
Redskin defensive back Deshaun Phillips, who's from Texas, from Duncanville, Texas, played at Tarleton State. And fans appreciating his effort and concern as the medical staff will try and help him off of the field. Let's check back in with Mike Hill on the Houston Texans.
Yeah, Texans win. They wrap up the AFC South in that 4th seed, and Jonathan Grimes doing his part, his second touchdown of the day, 3-yard score. 17-3 Texans leading in the second. Chris, Rodney, back to you.
Thank you, Mike. We'll be keeping an eye on all the other games going on. America's Game of the Week later today. Some will see Tampa Bay going up against the Panthers. Others will see Arizona going up against Seattle. In Oakland and KC, the Chiefs, the hottest team in the NFL. One of the reserve defensive backs, you always fear injury regardless of when a game is played, but certainly for Phillips, an opportunity to play in this game. And some Cowboy players giving their thoughts of concern for Phillips. And Jeremy Harris, the free agent from New Mexico State, will come in for the Redskins. You saw the update a moment ago with the Texans, who win, they're in. Brandon Whedon leading the way. They had Bobby Hoyer, of course, back healthy for them. They've had to play a number of different quarterbacks. New England trying to get that number 1 seed. They're trailing the Dolphins at the moment. Back here, that's Brian Hoyer, the quarterback for the Texans, as the pass is caught. Jason Witten not good enough to get into the end zone.
And Kellen Moore, if he lets this ball go out on time, it's a touchdown right away, but he held on it just long enough for the Redskins defense to rally.
119 straight games with a catch for Jason Witten, extending the Cowboy record. He broke Michael Irvin's record last week. That's where the ball had to be. Oh, but is that
close?
Something
if he wasn't out of bounds. Jason Garrett should challenge this. He absolutely should challenge this. The ball, all he has to do is get it to go around that pylon, and it will be a touchdown. I'll check his footwork, see if he's out of bounds before this ball crosses the line.
And I think that's what he was trying to do, is reach the ball across before he went out of bounds. The official right there.
But again, Kellen Moore is just a second late on that delivery. He was wide open in the flat. On time, it was an easy touchdown, but we'll get a chance to look at this, and this picture should give us a pretty good indication. Close.
This officiating crew has had 8 reversals on 14 reviews this year. And of course, the great TV screen here. Jason Garrett, 2 out of 6 challenges this season. Our rules analyst Mike Pereira watching, as we mentioned earlier. Mike, what's your thought on this one?
Yeah, we're watching all the shots. The interesting point is, since actually he goes out of bounds, he doesn't get into the end zone, he's got to get that ball back over the top or inside the pylon. Now, where does the reach occur here? Does it go over the top at that point? Again, keep in mind, I think the league's done a pretty good job on this, that the original call on the field was that it wasn't. My assumption looking at it based on this is that it is, but it's very, very tight.
Well, this picture, I think, gives a good indication that maybe he did not get that inside the pylon right there.
After reviewing the play,
Yeah,
with clear
see, that's-
possession, 3 feet down, the receiver penetrated the goal line.
It's a touchdown. Jason Witten on the pass from Kellen Moore, and that extra reach. His 3rd touchdown of this season, and a good challenge from Jason Garrett. And moving up on the all-time Cowboy touchdown reception list. Dan Bailey with the extra point, and the Cowboys are on the board with just over 3.5 to go in the first half. Kellen Moore, his 2nd touchdown pass as a Cowboy, and this is his 2nd start. When you think of great games in the Redskin-Cowboy rivalry, there are a lot of them. Remember 1974 on Thanksgiving, Roger Staubach knocked out of the game in the 3rd quarter with a concussion. And here comes Clint Longley, the rookie. A come-from-behind victory for the Cowboys, throwing 2 touchdown passes. The knockout punch, a 24-23 Cowboy win. And earlier this year, Dallas winning a wild one against the Redskins on Monday night. Emmitt Smith looking on, recalling some of the Super Bowl years. Redskins certainly going into the playoffs don't want to be swept by their rivals. It was nice seeing Jerry Jones and Dan Snyder shake hands and hug before the game. Stephen Jones talking about a competitive rivalry, respect for each other's franchise.
Oh, this is one of the biggest rivalries in football, and I've never done a game in here, but you get in here, it just feels like a huge event. Whenever you're in this stadium, the Redskins in town, house is still packed, even with the 4-11 record.
Yeah, it's a social event. It's a gathering, regardless of whether it's a playoff game, a regular season game, a preseason game here at AT&T. Well, the new Fox Tuesdays, Comedy's Big Night. Catch brand new episodes of New Girl, Grandfathered, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and The Grinder. Kicks off Tuesday on Fox. An early 24-0 lead in the Cowboys' dent. There's Jerry and Stephen, president and general manager, looking on, and a Texas guy, Colt McCoy, coming into the game for the Redskins, the Longhorn who was with Cleveland and San Francisco, also a free agent like Kirk Cousins, and they expect to bring him back. A perfect complement, number 2 to Cousins in the eyes of the Redskin organization. And Morris carries straight ahead. Colt McCoy saw brief action against New Orleans back in November. Has not thrown a pass this year. Was just handing off. These are the career numbers, and this is 6th season. Was actually a 2nd-round pick of the Browns in 2010. Heisman Trophy runner-up. He led Texas to the BCS title game with Alabama, but he was injured early in that game. McCoy's pass is complete to Grant, and a touchdown catch earlier from Cousins in the game. It's a first down.
Colt McCoy was part of that pretty crazy quarterback carousel last year here in Washington, but he got some valuable snaps, I thought, and really saw some development in him. Jay Gruden loved him last year, loved what he was able to bring to the table, to the position. So it's good that he's getting some snaps here at the end of the football season, just in case he's needed down the road.
He made 4 starts for the Redskins last year. Talked to Robert Griffin before the game and said he's healthy and in limbo at the moment, but anxious and ready to play whenever, wherever. On 1st and 10, it's Morris. And we will keep a close watch. Jennifer Hale checking on Deshaun Phillips, who you saw being carted away. As soon as we get any kind of an update, we will certainly pass that information along to you. We've reached the 2-minute warning here in Texas on the Redskins with a 24-7 advantage. Apps, videos, and more at itunes.com/NFL. Colt McCoy in, facing a 2nd and 7 after a gain of 3. Everybody's got a phone. They're either watching, texting, tweeting. We're all connected here. Chris Thompson in at running back. McCoy to throw. Wide open down the sideline, but just couldn't connect with Rashad Ross. Let's check in down on the field for more on Sean Phillips with Jennifer.
Well, Chris, Deshaun Phillips is now headed to a local hospital for further evaluation. The Redskins medical staff did not like what they saw in his neck injury, so they decided he needed to be looked at more closely. The good news is he does have movement in his extremities, so we will keep you updated as soon as we get more from what doctors at that local hospital say, Chris.
All right, thank you very much for that. Hoping for the best for Deshaun Phillips. Blitz picked up. McCoy's on the run. And they get to him. The ball's out. It was a fumble. Terrence Mitchell eventually got to him and forced the fumble. Looked like the Redskins may have gotten on the ball, but let's see the official recovery. Josh Laribas was back there and did come up with the recovery. And it'll be fourth down, the Dallas defense.
Well, great pressure by Terrence Mitchell here, and really a bad decision by Colt McCoy to try to get that ball out. It's clearly in the grasp. He had his arm hooked by Mitchell. There's no reason to try to throw this. It's fortunate that Laribas is right on the spot to make this recovery.
And that's one of the problems the Cowboys after last year, 31 takeaways. They almost had one here. In fact, they've talked about this season a lack of takeaways, only 11.
Well, if you're looking for a big difference in this team, especially on this side of the ball, obviously we know what's wrong with them on offense. It is absolutely that. Missing Orlando Scandrick, some other important pieces, not generating enough sacks. If you ask Rod Marinelli, that's the difference between this Cowboys team and last year's.
The officials may want to make sure to see if the recovery was clean. John Perry, our referee. And we're under 2 minutes, so automatically the officials will review. Otherwise they wouldn't unless there was a change of possession. If it was outside of 2 minutes, the Cowboys would have to challenge if they think there's any chance they can come up with this football. Just want to confirm the recovery, and it's so difficult. We get the same kinds of replays that the officials do. Dean Blandino and company watching back in New York too, but sometimes guys piling up. You've been a part of those before.
So much happens at the bottom of these piles. The first guy on the ball is the center, Laribas, but to us it didn't look like he had full possession of it. But you see the thumb, and yes, they are correct in their ruling to give this back to Washington.
Saw the rubber band too on Pari's hand to keep track of the downs. Just an old school way of doing it to make sure they track everything. Wanted to make sure the arm was going so it was a fumble, that it wasn't a forward pass. Lucky Whitehead has it. Here comes a flag as he's run out of bounds up across the 25-yard line. Redskins have not had a penalty accepted against them today. Only one on the Cowboys.
During the return, illegal block in the back, return team number 31, 10-yard penalty, 1st and 10.
Yeah, well, if you can see his name, you don't want to be blocking him on his jersey. And 31 right there, definite block in the back. Easy call for the officials there. And that's Jones, Byron Jones, who's been a pretty good player for this Dallas defense. They played him at corner. He's starting at safety for the second week in a row. Really excited about his work, but special teams penalties.
See if Kellen Moore and the Cowboy offense after the touchdown pass that was challenged and converted for Jason Garrett. Jason Witten hauling it in. See if they play off that momentum here. As he is caught, Bryce Butler up across the 20. Each team with 3 timeouts. Check that. Cowboys have 2, Washington 3, as Moore completes over across the 30s, Terrence Williams, and gets out of bounds. Important because of those 2 timeouts and just over a minute to go.
Well, the last 2 drives for Dallas, you can see a little bit of the momentum coming back into this offense. And Kellen Moore, again, is doing a pretty decent job when he's on rhythm, delivering the football. His receivers are working well for him. You saw him come back for that completion there. They can get down the field, score, get another score here before the halftime. You feel a lot better. You're sitting in the stands here looking for a Cowboys comeback.
180. I said.
Wide open is Witten, and he's got it at the 45 of Washington. Working against, looks like D'Angelo Hall, checking his shoulder. Let's check in with Kurt Menefee.
Look, TB, I'm telling you, it's really simple. If the Patriots win, they win home field throughout the playoffs. Now, the Colts can knock Houston out of the AFC South if Indianapolis wins and Houston loses, but then also the Falcons have to win. Ravens,
whoa, just a second. Whoa.
Bills, they got to win too.
No. America, I know you're confused as I am. Let's just talk about this at halftime. Wow.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Holy cow. This reminds me of general math or whatever.
More like remedial math for him. I'm glad they cleared everything up. You know, we kid because we care. Steelers do lead the Browns 14-9. Miami leads the Patriots 10-3. Houston winning 17-3. They win there in. The Jets trailing Buffalo 16-7 as D'Angelo Williams is being checked down already. D'Angelo Hall and Deshaun Phillips has already gone to the hospital, as you heard in Jennifer's report.
Well, geez, if D'Angelo Hall can't go in this football game, I really don't know. Who's going to play safety for this football team? Running out of players.
Kyshawn Jarrett got hurt in the opening quarter. Jerron Johnson is back there. They've used Jeremy Harris. DeShazer Everett is coming to the field, and he'll be out there. So Deshaun Goldson came into the game inactive. So there's Everett, rookie from Texas A&M.
Well, I think at this point they have exactly 5 defensive backs available. Yes.
So can Kellen Moore and the Cowboys take advantage? Terrence Williams with 5 catches leads all receivers in this game. Butler inside the 23-yard line.
And it's like they're running the same play over and over and over again. These Washington corners are giving these receivers a lot of room, and Kellen Moore is delivering some very nice footballs to his receivers. Another first down.
Butler coming off the best game of his career. He had 4 catches for the Cowboys against Buffalo. D'Angelo Hall has come back in for the Redskins after a gain of 24.
52. They win. We got 54. 180. Like that.
Kellen Moore, catch made by McFadden, brought down inside the 15. It's Mason Foster on the tackle. Dallas has 1 timeout. They used one in that update when we also showed you the D'Angelo Hall injury. That's 10 completions in a row for Kellen Moore as Witten gets down to the 5. And a timeout. The Cowboys will use their last timeout of the half. And let's check in for another game break.
Steelers trying to secure that 6th seed in the AFC. Ben Roethlisberger to his guy Antonio Brown, 17-yard score. It's 14-9 Steelers at the half in Cleveland. Steelers need a win. Jets lost to get in, and right now Jets are losing in Buffalo 16-7 at the half. Chris, back to you.
Kellen Moore has found his groove, and this is his 2nd start as a Cowboy. And a chance to get Dallas to within 10 points. Out of timeouts, 26 seconds to go, and it's 1st and goal.
He's been excellent on this drive. Some short completions. He had a nice ball through the seam to his tight end, Jason Witten. The rhythm of the offense starting to come alive here in the 2nd quarter for the Dallas Cowboys.
Bryce Butler is at 6'3", and sometimes you look for Dez Bryant down here. Butler's at the top of your screen. Terrence Williams at the bottom. Kellen Moore, end zone, touchdown, Cole Beasley.
Cole Beasley right here in the slot. You'll see 41 blitz, leaves D'Angelo Hall one-on-one, and just a really nice move by Cole Beasley to leave the veteran in his wake for that easy completion. And you take a risk. If you're the Redskins, you go all-out blitz. Got one-on-one on the backside, and the Cowboy receiver wins.
Dan Bailey, and at one time, 24-0. Now it's only a 10-point Redskin lead. The fourth touchdown catch of this season for Cole Beasley, who's been battling injury but toughing it out at only 5'8". Second on the team in catches and in the end zone for Jason Garrett and the Cowboys.
And you'll see all these guys populate the box. Everybody's blitzing here. All the outside players are one-on-one. And it just takes one winner, and Kellen Moore found him for the touchdown.
That was an impressive drive for Kellen Moore, marching 86 yards in just over a minute and finishing it off with what the Cowboy offense wanted more of this year, touchdowns when they got into the red zone.
We've talked earlier in the game about their possession, and I think they're fifth in the league in time possession. They just get in the red zone and don't score, but they're able to take advantage of a full-out pressure by Washington and get on the board here and make it 24-14.
Nice to see the boss smiling. And the quarterback of the future and now, when he's healthy. Rashad Ross back to receive the kick. And touchback, so to the 20 with 21 seconds remaining. So we continue to talk about some of the great quarterbacks in this rivalry. Sonny Jurgensen led the league in passing 5 times. And Pro Football Hall of Famer inducted in '83. And Roger Staubach, 69 to 79, 2-time Super Bowl champion. 11-7 record against the Redskins, and went into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1985. Both Staubach and Jurgensen. That's what's great about both of these organizations with the 8 Super Bowl titles combined. Staubach and Jurgensen still a part of the organizations in and around the players, the ownership. The Redskins will go to the half with the lead and hope to hang on to win their 4th straight. They know they're the 4th seed. Waiting to see who they'll play next weekend in the playoffs. Kirk Cousins with 3 touchdown passes in the first half. Right now, let's go to Kirk Menefee in Los Angeles. Lead and on their way into the postseason. The Cowboys wrapping up a frustrating season. Today's excitement brought to you by Nissan. And when things started for Washington, Kirk Cousins continued the hot hand with 3 touchdown passes in the opening quarter. Kellen Moore rallied Dallas. Jason Witten reaching across, and a challenge from Jason Garrett to get in the end zone. And it's a 24-14 game. That's today's excitement so far, brought to you by Nissan. Cowboys ready to kick off. They did have a fake punt on 4th down, picking up a yard, surprising Washington as Kellen Moore has gone all the way for Dallas. Colt McCoy came in after Kirk Cousins went 12 of 15 with those 3 touchdown passes, and he told us he'd be listening in and observing. Rashad Ross back to receive. Redskins have had a couple of touchdown returns in the kickoff area this year. It'll be a touchback. And out to the 20-yard line. Well, we know the Redskins are the 4th seed. They're waiting to see who they will host next weekend in the playoffs. The Cowboys currently, they have the 4th pick in the upcoming draft. Depending upon a number of things, they could get anywhere to the 2nd pick overall or the 8th pick. So they're somewhere in that window here. But they want to try and finish strong against their rival Redskins. What do you expect here in the second half?
Well, I expect honestly, to Washington to turn around, hand the ball off, try to shorten this football game. You've already seen a number of injuries, Chris. It's the last thing they want going here in the last 30 minutes of the regular season is to get anybody else hurt.
The reason Cousins is out of the game, Alfred Moore is still in there. He has carried the most for Washington as he gets up to the 21-yard line. It'll be second down 9. Let's check in down on the field with Jennifer Hale.
Well, Chris, the Redskins' plan was to play Kirk Cousins the entire first half, but at halftime, Jay Gruden told me he was in such a good rhythm, he felt like Kirk had done what he needed to do to establish confidence for the playoffs. Plus, as Rondé mentioned, he did not want to risk further injury. This half, expect to see more of the run game and more starters resting on both sides of the ball. Chris?
Pierre Thomas, Jennifer, has come in with Matt Jones inactive. Chris Thompson, usually the third down back. Colt McCoy. And Pierre Thomas, the ball is out and incomplete right away. Ruled that way as Anthony Hitchens was in on the hit.
Well, screenplays are all about timing. Anthony Hitchens was in man-to-man coverage on Pierre Thomas. Read it perfectly, avoided the offensive lineman trying to get in his way. You see Long there. Fantastic hit.
Remember Sean Lee inactive. He was a late scratch, the team's leading tackler. DeMarcus Lawrence has been in and out with injury. David Irving, who fractured his wrist off of last week, hasn't played either. On third down and 9, McCoy, middle of the field, Thomas, catch made, but brought down at the 26. It'll be fourth down.
And that's what you love about the Dallas Cowboys defense. Watch how fast they play this second half. Even though this game, you know, some people may say it's being treated like a third preseason game or whatnot with all the starters from Washington being out. But don't get mistaken, there is a football game going on here. A lot of people playing for pride on this Dallas defense, and they want to win a football game. And a nice stop to start the second half.
Tressway drives Lucky Whitehead to the 15 of Dallas. Here comes a flag at the 30, and he's knocked down short of the 12-yard line. Redskins have yet to have a penalty accepted against them today. 2 on the Cowboys. It's a flag on each side of the field.
During the return, illegal block in the back. Number 51, penalties declined. During the kick, holding, return team. Number 31, that penalty will be enforced. First and 10, Dallas.
Let's check in now for a game break with Mike Hill.
Bengals with a chance to get the second seed today against Baltimore. A.J. Green, 5-yard score from A.J. McCarron. Bengals win, the Broncos lost, and Cincinnati gets a first-round bye for the first time since 1988. Chris, Rondé, back to you.
Thank you very much. As you check the scores, Cincinnati heading to the playoffs and winning. New England trying to get the number 1 seed and tied down in Miami. Kellen Moore finishing up on a hot streak in the first half. Mary McFadden, who opened the game carrying the load, got a breather with Turbin, is back in there and gets the football. McFadden gets outside. All the way up near the 40-yard line before D'Angelo Hull ran him out of bounds.
We've seen this all year from Darren McFadden, and I thought it was interesting that Jason Garrett said, I thought he was going to be our third down back, but mid-season, he turned into a great runner. And watch the cutback here by Darren McFadden. Stick his right foot in the ground and then just avoid Blackman in the flat. And he's always had this great speed. He's having a fantastic year.
A 30-yard run.
Yeah, we're good. Right on. Yep. 180.
Kellen Moore. Incomplete, a little behind Terrence Williams. Kellen Moore, we mentioned his 50 wins in college at Boise State, so the winningest quarterback in major college history. The guy's record that he broke, Colt McCoy at 45 wins at Texas.
And you got to play a lot of games to get 50 wins in college football. 45 wins, for that matter, for Colt McCoy. And he was at Boise. We all remember what he was. Fantastic when that program really turned around.
On 2nd and 10, McFadden gets up just short of the 45-yard line. Jerron Johnson making the tackle. And let's get back to Jennifer.
Well, Chris, this Cowboys offense is going to be without guard Ronald Leary for the rest of this half. He is out now with a concussion. Now, Jason Garrett told me at halftime he talked to Kellen Moore and told him to keep his confidence high, stay settled down. Garrett knew he could play like he did at the end of the second quarter. He just needs to keep doing it, keep producing, and keep believing in himself, Chris.
And still waiting for an update on Deshaun Phillips. Kyshawn Jarrett also is hurt in the Redskins secondary. Moore is going to go down. Chris Baker, who had a fumble recovery in the first half, gets the sack.
They bought some time in the secondary here, and Chris Baker just keeps working to get this sack. Chris Baker is right here, and just watch him continue to work on this double team. Kellen Moore tries to scramble out of the pocket, and he's right there to make a 6th sack of the season. Career year for Chris Baker.
Chris Jones inside the 25. Jamison Crowder back at the 15. And fair catch called for just across the 10-yard line. So the Redskins back on offense after the Redskin defense does its job.
Sponsored by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By Burger King. Now get 10 chicken nuggets for $1.49 only at BK. By Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL.
Bill Callahan of the Redskins helping out that offensive line. He was in that position helping the Cowboys last year when they were going to the playoffs, and what a difference he's made when you listen to not only offensive coaches, but the front office of this Washington team.
Hey, Jam! 180!
Alfred Morris on the carry.
You know, there's a lot of good decisions on this Washington team on offense. You talked about Kirk Cousins already, Chris. You talk about additions. I don't know a better one than bringing Callahan in here to work with the offensive line. And the thing that they tell me about him, what he does really well, is the in-game adjustments. Whatever the defense is giving you, he's been around so long, has an eye for it. He's able to make things better on the run, and it's definitely helped this Washington Redskins football team.
Helps Jay Gruden and Sean McVay. McVay relaying the plays in, but play calling is part of what Bill Callahan is involved in. And making those adjustments as Morris runs. You saw the line, he respects, and he's brought up Callahan, the Hogs of the 80s and 90s. Redskin fans, football fans know him well, and said I'm not sure where we are in that, but we want to live up to those kinds of standards in the sense that when you need to run, you can run, you dominate, you control the clock, and you protect your quarterback and your offense.
Well, yeah, they haven't run the ball well this year, but what they've done a fantastic job of is protecting Kirk Cousins.
Hey,
taking so many fewer sacks here later in the year, and that's a credit to him as well.
180!
There's Morris again. And as you talked about, they've become a pass-first offense out of necessity. We didn't even see Deshaun Jackson throwing a ball today, but Jordan Reed, whoever they had to get to, and then you build the lead and then you work on the run.
Well, they're pass first because of the weapons they have out there. I mean, we've talked about Jordan Reed, Deshaun Jackson. Everybody knows what Pierre Garçon is in the passing game, and then Jamison Crowder's had a great rookie season. He's got a chance to be the all-time reception leader for rookies in Washington history. So yeah, it's nice to have those kind of weapons to throw the ball, and the way Kirk Cousins has played this well, it's warranted. But again, playoff time, you're going to need a running back. I expect him to work on that the rest of this game.
Chris Thompson turns the corner. Should have a first down depending upon the spot.
Chris Thompson's a guy, really change of pace, the speed factor in this offense, and Alfred Moore's been splitting time all year with Matt Jones. Chris Thompson getting his opportunities now to add to that running game.
Also 35 catches out of the backfield with a couple of touchdowns. They like the matchup issues he creates, much like Jordan Reed when he's in there. Record-setting day for Reed, the starting tight end, and for Kirk Cousins. Terrific seasons by both of those players. Thompson, there's a flag on the back end of that play as he gets to the 38. Redskins only average about 95 yards a game on the ground, but they're patient with the run.
Holding, offense number 36, and they're penalty, first down.
It's on Darrell Young, the fullback, and what Rod Marinelli said, the defensive coordinator, Rundy, about this Washington team is that, you know, they're committed to the run, and it makes it difficult on the defense.
Well, that's what the Redskins do. Despite their inability to run the football, they still turn around and hand it off. Even if they're not getting anywhere, what it does, it opens up your play-action game. And the Redskins have been fantastic with that all season long because of their commitment to the running game. I think they're 5th in the league in rushing attempts, and it speaks to the foundation of this offense.
The penalty backs him up. It's Chris Thompson, thrown down at the 27-yard line. Well, to start the year, the Redskins had a dozen players that were going to be part of their 53-man roster that were injured in and out of the lineup during the year, whether it was Deshaun Jackson or Jordan Reed. And yet they've been able to win the division that is often criticized, the NFC East. There was talk at one time that the winner of this division might not even have a 500 record.
Well, I don't think there's any question why this offense exploded when Jordan Reed got healthy and Deshaun Jackson started taking the top off defenses again. Just opens up everything else in this offense.
McCoy incomplete. Bobbled by Alex Smith, the backup tight end, and almost intercepted by Anthony Hitchens. Hitchens been active here in the third quarter for this defense. He'll be a free agent. Cowboys have double-digit free agents. Rolando McClain, one of those. Greg Hardy, will he figure in the Cowboy plans of next year?
They've got some decisions, obviously, with Greg Hardy. Some other players on this defense need to find a pass rush here in Dallas. The way this defense runs, it's necessitated on being able to get to the quarterback with 3- and 4-man rushes. They haven't done it well all year.
Crowder on third down. He's going to zoom for the first down and get across midfield. On third and long, he caught it and ran it 24 yards.
Well, Dallas rushes 3. I sometimes hate when defenses do this, but watch Crowder get in the slot here. Same play that he had the explosive play earlier in the game. You get a couple of nice blocks out front by your offensive line, and then his speed and quickness shows itself again as he gets that big first down.
3 catches, should say 4, for just under 100 yards for the rookie, and he has the touchdown grab. Chris Thompson down to about the 47. Talked about the credentials of the 4th rounder from Duke. As a rookie, right behind Gary Clark, tied now with Art Monk. Most rookie receptions in Redskin history. And Kirk Cousins said we got to do that in the playoffs.
There we go, 51. Gang, 55. White 20.
Morris back in and gliding inside the 35-yard line with another first down for Washington. Now this looks like a running team.
Well, give due over on that right side of the offensive line to Sheriff and Morgan Moses. That's exactly where they're turning around and handing this ball off. And Alfred Morris, definitely not the same runner he's been in the past. He hasn't had as many touches, but you give him room, he'll produce for you.
Redskins have now run for more than 80 yards today, and the average is up over 4 yards a carry.
Jim! Hey, come on! Hey, 90!
Alfred Morris bounces outside. Brandon Carr couldn't catch him. chewing up the third quarter, and a 15-yard run produces another Washington first down.
And this feels like the way the Redskins want to play football, and it hasn't been this way all year, of course. But you get a defense on their heels. You convert a long third down, first of all, which is demoralizing. And then you turn around and hand the ball off to your running back, and he starts rushing off huge chunks of yardage. The game feels like it's supposed to feel if you're Washington right now.
And Morris nearing the 80-yard rushing mark. Well, this is one of the things that I think if you talk to Cowboy personnel, they said was somewhat exposed. Their defense last year lived on takeaways, but they also had an offense that produced points and controlled the clock with the running game, so they weren't on the field a lot. They didn't get pushed around and worn down.
When you're a team that doesn't score a lot of points, Chris, I think it's important to remember that offenses don't take risks against you, and I think that was part of the issue as well with this Dallas team and creating some of those turnovers. Knew they weren't going to score, so didn't give as many opportunities for turnovers.
Chris Thompson tackled right around the 15-yard line as the clock continues to run. Jay Gruden talked about how important it was to finish on a high note, a winning streak. Said if you're a Redskin, you automatically dislike the Cowboys. That's the competitive spirit of this rivalry, and he has lived it now the last 2 seasons. And the major decision to go with Cousins, the development of him and the team around him.
How about over 8 minutes on this drive right here?
This will be the 13th play on 3rd and 7 for Colt McCoy for the end zone, and incomplete. Here comes a flag. And late turning around was Brandon Carr. But is this offensive? Ryan Grant, the receiver.
Pass interference offense, number 14. Penalties declined. 4th down.
Yeah, this was great coverage by Brandon Carr. He's in perfect position. Gets a little stutter move, but doesn't panic. Turns around, finds the ball, and then Ryan Grant just tries to come over his back. And Brandon Carr has allowed his position there to try to make a play on the ball. So that was the correct call by the official there.
So this is now a field goal that's in the range of a point after touchdown distance to try and add 3. His first regular season NFL opportunity. He's made it count for Washington. Dustin Hopkins is good. The Redskins now with a 27-14 lead. 35, but second best in team history.
70% completion.
Incredible in today's NFL.
Unbelievable.
For as often as he has thrown the ball, and more than 4,000 yards. Here goes Lucky Whitehead, and just short of the 24-yard line. The Redskins, after an 8-minute drive, add to their lead. The Cowboys within striking distance.
The truck is history.
Always a good scene here at AT&T Stadium. The Redskin-Cowboy rivalry continuing.
52.
Kellen Moore trying to rally Dallas. At one time it was 24-0. And he goes down. Third sack of the game for the Redskins.
Just a lot of heat on him. Redskins blitz. You'll see linebackers populate the line of scrimmage. Doesn't let it go on time. And just climb. Nothing, nowhere to get rid of the football. Comes away with a sack.
Frank Kurse coming up with the sack. One of the reserve Redskins. After a loss of 5. Ball is batted in the air, and it's going to be third down. Mason Foster got his arms up. Let's get another game break with Mike Hill.
Eagles' first game without Chip Kelly, playing the Giants, and the Giants' red zone issues continue. Eli Manning's pass tipped by Connor Barwin. Walter Thurman gets it and takes it back 83 yards on a pick six. Like that, it's 28-27, Eagles in the third. Chris, run it.
Eagles making the decision with Chip Kelly. Rumors about Tom Coughlin and the Giants, both of those teams disappointed. 0 for 6 on third down to the Cowboys. James Hanna will be short. And it's fourth down.
Well, those first two offensive plays there for Dallas, Joe Barry, the D coordinator in Washington, just throws everything at him. Just 2 blitzes, gets a sack. The second one was an all-out blitz. And the aggressive nature here in the second half is paying off, and they can't can't convert a third down again.
Joe Barry, who is married to the daughter of Rod Marinelli, and he said, we don't talk during a week like this. The relatives do, but we don't. Out of bounds. Looked like it landed inside the 30, and they're spotted right at the 28. Smiling because his defense and his team have dominated today. Quarter, Washington jumped out to the lead and has held on here in the third quarter. Working the clock with Colt McCoy and at running back Chris Thompson. Inarade, as they go to the playoffs, Jay Gruden in his second year. Thought it was interesting. We sat down and talked with him here in Dallas, and he said this year we made the decision with Kirk Cousins at quarterback, but we wanted to eliminate the drama, and we did that. And when it was tough early, we were able to hang in there and overcome things.
Well, I don't think any football team is about one guy, and some of the distractions nationally from this team were about one guy. You just don't want that to be the identity of your football team. I thought it was a great job of them by eliminating that, focusing on the task at hand.
And of course it works when you have a guy like Cousins delivering on the field as a flag down on the run to Thompson.
And as I say that, that's nothing against Robert.
Holding, offense number 76, 10-yard penalty replay, second down.
I mean, Robert did a lot of good things in Washington his rookie year, played against him. He was almost unstoppable at times, but he dealt with a lot of injuries, dealt with the comeback coming from one of those injuries. And then just the drama surrounding that was a distraction to the entire organization. Got the other coaches fired, bringing Jay Gruden. And again, talked about early in this football game how they went through that carousel of quarterbacks last year, and that's drama. You don't want that as part of a winning football team. They made the decision on Kirk Cousins, which I think was the right decision, and they've benefited from it this year.
Cowboys can relate to the drama at quarterback for different reasons. Pierre Thomas on a delay. Just short of the 30 as the third quarter winds down. One more quarter left in the Cowboys season. The Redskins tuning up for the postseason. You're watching the NFL on Fox from AT&T in Texas. Hope you're having a great 2016 with Rondé Barber, Chris Myers here in Irving, Texas, where the Washington Redskins, winners of the NFC East, are waiting to see who they will host next weekend in the first round of the playoffs. Trying to finish up and even the score with the Cowboys, who beat them earlier. Colt McCoy on third down, wide open. Rashad Ross will wander into the end zone for a Redskin touchdown. 71 yards.
And Rod Marinelli has got to be so upset right now with a breakdown like that. Big plays absolutely kill your offense. This is the receiver you're targeting. Looks like they're playing some kind of trap coverage, and there's a big communication gap between Jones and his corner, and that is a crucial mistake.
Brandon Carr, who last had an interception in 2013, has had a rough go of it here in the second half.
Well, it's hard to say who the blame falls on that play. It looks like they were playing a read coverage. the corner, jump the guy in the flat. The safety has to get over the top. And they were just not on the same page. Easy completion for that big touchdown for Washington.
Rashad Ross with his first touchdown catch of the year. T Stadium opened in 2009. And those Redskin fans that have come in are enjoying the rivalry as Colt McCoy launches the touchdown to make it a 34-14 Redskin lead. Among those in attendance here, Calvin Hill, Randy White, another Hall of Fame inductee, Walt Garrison, Bob Lilly, one of the great defensive tackles and one of the great running backs of all time, Emmitt Smith. And what a turnaround from last year for the Cowboy team when they finished up rocking the Redskins on their way to the playoffs. Kellen Moore to Darren McFadden. Washington's turn this time. I mentioned that in the last 8 years, the NFC East, it's interesting how this broke down, Ronnie, and I wouldn't have figured it this way. Each team in the division has won the division twice. Washington, Dallas, Giants, Philly. Giants have been the only ones that have been able to capitalize with a Super Bowl title.
And when Washington hasn't won the division, they finished in last place. So this is, talk about turnarounds, enormous turnaround for Washington.
From worst to first in the division as McFadden carries. Let's get a game break. He got the first down. Here's Kurt Menefee.
Well, the only playoff spot up for grabs, the last wild card in the AFC, is still in question. Eric Decker with a touchdown for the Jets in Buffalo, but they're still down in the fourth quarter, while Pittsburgh has a 17-12 lead over the Browns in the fourth quarter. If it stays that way, Pittsburgh's in, the Jets are out, Chris.
All right, thank you very much, Kurt. Terrence Williams with the catch down the sideline all the way inside the 32, Washington. A gain of 36 yards. And Dallas going without a huddle here. Just over 13 and a half to play.
54.
Kellen Moore against Terrence Williams.
Terrence Williams is having a heck of a day here. Been the most reliable receiver on this Cowboys offense today, and really good understanding with his quarterback on that last big catch. And then here he's working one-on-one in the slot. Gets that in and out of his break, and his quarterback hits him right on stride for another first down.
We need some. Hurry, set.
After a gain of 20. For the end zone, no. Bryce Butler, the target. Devin Street has checked in as well, coming off a concussion. Terrence Williams, though, having quite a day, over 140 receiving yards, and taking advantage of a Redskins secondary. Deshaun Goldson and Quentin Dunbar were inactive to start the game, and then Kyshawn Jarrett and the unfortunate injury to Deshaun Phillips during the game.
Give me a 52 on it. 52. Middle. 180. I said.
Kellen Moore to Cole Beasley. Inside the 3. Beasley has a touchdown catch already in this game, but he got the first down.
Cole Beasley keeps getting in one-on-one matchups in the slot and winning. His quarterback's finding a nice little rapport with him down here in the red zone.
Kellen Moore. Bryce Butler can't hold it. Rashad Breeland back there covering.
Just a good finish by Rashad Breeland. One of the, I call him one of the more casual corners in the league, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just that he makes it look easy. Outstanding, I think, young corner in football. Really necessitated the move of D'Angelo Hall to safety because he was playing so well at corner this year for the Redskins.
Low snap handled by Moore, and it's intercepted at the goal line. Will Blackman gets it back out to the 2. It's the third takeaway for Washington today.
I just mentioned Cole Beasley winning in the slot. down here in the red zone, but Will Blackman plays this about as well as you can. They're going to run a blitz, and then you'll see out of the right side of your screen just the outstanding coverage by Will Blackman, and able to secure the interception of the red zone. Joe Barry, he's excited still.
Excites. By Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Colonel Sanders Kentucky Fried Chicken. It's still finger-licking good.
We welcome you back. It's more like, how about those Redskins? After the takeaway, ball spotted at the 1. Alfred Morris, who has carried 16 times today.
Ball start. Offense number 83. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
Alex Smith, like Will Blackman, who had the interception, one of those veterans in-season pickups that the Redskins added, gives Scott McCloughan, Jay Gruden, the coaching and scouting staff credit for putting this team together through draft picks and the right blend of veterans and free agents.
Alex Smith was with Jay Gruden in Cincinnati. He also crossed over with Tampa when Alex Smith started there, when I was playing there. And I think he got the raw deal on that false start right there. The defender was clearly in the neutral zone, so he was allowed that protection.
And Alfred Morris is trapped behind the line for a safety. Trapped at his own end zone. Give Dallas 2.
Well, you run some sort of long developing run here. Alfred Morris has got to hit that straight downhill. You don't have time to make that extra step. Good job by this defensive line of Dallas. Run a little stunt there, and then your safety comes in and makes the tackle for the safety.
J.J. Wilcox coming up. And again, the penalty pushed them back a little further, so they had very little breathing room. And the Dallas defense gets some points. First Cowboy safety since 2008.
Keep track of those stats.
We have people that do that. That doesn't just roll off the top of our head. Let's not kid anybody. I don't think any of the Cowboys would know that either.
I did not have that in my notes coming into this game.
See, we have in our booth, we have a great view here. We have people that help us with these things. So if there's a mistake, you blame them, and that gets us off the hook. That's how we do things around here. No. It's a team. You got to work together. You got to finish strong.
We will. I'll get the next safety stat right.
No, that's okay. We'll let you slide on that one. I told you earlier, the kickoff, Felix Jones, the last Cowboy to return a kickoff for a touchdown out of Arkansas, teammate member of Darren McFadden. And Lucky Whitehead on the free kick following the safety. It's up across the 33-yard line. Good field position for Kellen Moore, who has attempted 32 passes, a couple of touchdowns, a couple of interceptions, and he's lost a fumble as well. And it's a great view, right? No matter what game you're watching here, no matter what the standings are.
I'm trying not to watch the scoreboard right in front of me.
Yeah. As long as they don't put us up there, it'll be all right. Trying to avoid their worst finish record-wise since 1989. Trailing 34-16 after a safety, and Kellen Moore, the long wind-up when he's brought down. Another sack. Preston Smith, the rookie, with his 8th sack of the season.
Preston Smith is having a fantastic second half of this season as well. We talked about DeMarcus Lawrence on the other side. He's doing the same thing for the Redskins over here.
Pass is caught across the 45 by Beasley, who gets to midfield and into Redskin territory. Well, rough year for Dallas. You know injuries pile up on everybody. I think they didn't realize we know how outstanding Tony Romo is, but what a drop-off from him to the backup quarterback, which we've and Cowboy fans have discussed. Kellen Moore, the fourth different starting quarterback, hits the target as a flag flies. Terrence Williams again. Jerron Johnson leaning over in pain.
Prior to the pass, illegal contact, defense number 59. Penalties declined. Rule on the field is a catch. First down.
Well, again, injuries mounting.
Carlos Fields called for the infraction.
And mounting in the secondary here for Washington. Jarrett left the game early, and that's why Jerron Johnson came in the football game. Joe Barry and his defensive backs have continued to dwindle in the last game of the season here.
Yeah, this is probably why when you go into the playoffs and you have nothing to gain in the standings, you have pride, of course, but you just risk the depth on your team and these kinds of things.
Well, it is a risk, but it is a football game, and I said it earlier. You sign up for 16 games. This very easily could have meant something. And you talked about Dallas and the close games that they've lost, or they played Week 13, and Dallas won that football game. Since then, Washington's won 3 games. Dallas has lost all 3 of theirs, or their situations could be completely reversed, and this game could have meant something. So it's hard for me to excuse that. You obviously don't want guys to get hurt in the last game of the season when you're going to the playoffs. They're taking some shots here as far as depth in the secondary with all these injuries.
Jeremy Harris comes in. After the penalty, sets him up for the first down. Moore for the end zone. No. Butler couldn't hold it.
Tremendous play by Bashaud Breeland. They run this little route. Gives all this room to the sideline. Watch his eyes of the receiver, and as soon as he feels him turn around to get his hands out to make that catch, he looks back and just deflects that ball away. Great play.
Kellen Moore over 330 yards passing today. For Bryce Butler, incomplete. It'll be third down. And they've yet to convert on third down today. This will be the least productive offense in the 9 years that Jason Garrett's been involved with the Cowboys as either an offensive coordinator or head coach on the staff, former quarterback himself, member of backup to Troy Aikman. And that 7-game losing skid for this team during the year. They had 6 different times they either led or were tied late and close in those games that they couldn't win. The pitch. McFadden. He lost the football. Will Blackman knocked it out. It's going to be a touchback. Redskins football.
Oh, you just can't let up at the end of this run if you're Darren McFadden. Great play call. 3rd and long. Get the ball in your running back's hand on a run play. Man, wow, good play by Will Blackman. Ball awareness. Talk about DBs having ball awareness. He is searching for that football. He knows it's going to be a touchdown otherwise, and he gets a touchback out of it.
And the Redskins, as we pointed out in the first half, they have recovered the most fumbles of any team in the league this year, and didn't come easy. They forced the fumble as well.
That's just a great play, Chris. I mean, Will Blackman is going to get carried into the end zone there by Darren McFadden, and just the awareness. You talk about it, DBs having awareness or defenders having awareness. That is fantastic ball awareness.
The officials reviewing just in case.
Your order.
For the Redskins, that's their 16th fumble recovery of the season. 2 today, leads the NFL. 3rd lost fumble this year by Darren McFadden. A blown scoring opportunity by Dallas. Alfred Morris gets a first down up across the 40.
Tough running by Alfred Morris. A lot of broken tackles there. Show a little bit of his acceleration out of the tackle and stretch running game. This is what Alfred Morris has been known for his first couple of years in the league. And then just poor tackle. You got to wonder if the want-to is there on the Dallas defense at this point.
Well, Morris had 129 yards on the ground in the opening win over Miami. And he has hit the 100-yard mark for the 13th time in his career. And this is 4th season. Juggles the football. Clock runs under 10 minutes to play.
We mentioned him having to split time at running back this year with the rookie, Matt Jones. So it's limited his touches, least amount of touches he's had in his career this season. But we talked to him earlier in the year, Chris, and he knew that he was going to be sharing those carries. He's the most unselfish player on his team. He was okay with it. As long as they're winning football games, you got to appreciate that kind of character out of a guy that's been a star in the running game for your offense.
Another free agent to be for the Redskins. At least a dozen or so on this roster. Colt McCoy to the fullback, Darrell Young. You know, this Redskin team, they point to a couple of, it wasn't easy from the start here. Week 4, rallying at home to beat the Eagles. That was a crystallizing moment in their eyes. Week 7, they came back from 24-0 to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They got their first road win in Chicago. And then, of course, the division clincher against the Eagles. Those are the 4 moments that Kirk Cousins and this team will tell you really helped this team become the team they are.
Well, I think the Week 13 loss to these guys was somewhat of a galvanizing moment, too.
McCoy complete.
I mean, they've won 3 games since that point in the year, and it was do or die time for the Redskins. You know, they knew if they were going to win the division was the only way they were going to get into the playoffs. There was no way that they were going to be a wild card with the way it was shaken out. And they went on a run, and that's where they are here. They won a division, and they're on the road playing a game where it means nothing because they're already in, and that's an accomplishment to me.
Try to get to 9-7, finish on a 4-game win streak. They'll host next weekend. Again, waiting to see who it will be.
And that's the task this week for the Redskins all week long. You know, it was a meaningless somewhat game towards playoffs, but the task was to finish on a 4-game win streak. 9-7 looks a lot better than 8-8.
Meanwhile, the Cowboys, they know they're drafting in the top 10. Will it be a number 2 overall pick or number 8 overall? NFL on Fox as the Cowboys take over with Kellen Moore. 24 out of 36, a couple of touchdowns, a couple of picks and a fumble. Unloads underneath to McFadden, who's got running room up near the 29-yard line. Let's get a game break. Check in with Mike Hill.
Steelers and Jets fighting for that 6th seed in the AFC. First in Cleveland, Pittsburgh on the board. Big Ben to Marcus Reed, an 8-yard score. Making it 25-12. It's 28-12 Steelers in the 4th there. Meanwhile, in Buffalo, Dan Carpenter's 42-yard field goal giving the Bills a 22-17 lead against the Jets.
Thanks, Mike. Catch by Jason Witten. A Cowboy loss here today would secure at least the 4th overall pick or better, depending upon what happens with other teams in the NFL draft. And I bring that up because when we spoke with Stephen Jones of the Cowboys, he said, we won't hesitate if the right quarterback is there. We know Tony's got 3 or 4 good years left, referring to Romo. Moore, incomplete. Looks like a flag down at the 30.
Holding, offense number 77. 10-yard penalty, replays, took it down.
And I've read some more quotes from the Joneses this week, and I think their idea is to, when they do draft a quarterback, that they're okay sitting them. You know, I think the impetus sometimes is to draft a guy, feels like he's the savior of your organization, you play him right away, and then sometimes hurt you. He mentioned the Aaron Rosses and the Brock Osweiler types.
Aaron Rodgers.
I'm sorry, Aaron Rodgers. Yes, and giving them a time to learn behind a great football player, Tony Romo. It'll benefit the franchise, and I think that's what you got to be looking for the Dallas Cowboys in this offseason.
He said, yeah, Stephen Jones said, we got to look ourselves in the mirror and protect the backup quarterback. They drafted wisely with the offensive line and wanted to protect Romo, the unfortunate injuries. But major drop-off, and it certainly cost the Cowboys chance for the playoffs. There were other factors, other injuries, but
that was the big one, for sure.
Jason Witten steps short of the first down. And certainly with a top 4 pick, he said what did he talk about when Stephen Jones was saying the quarterback, he said, does he have to fit the Romo style? He said not necessarily, but the right kind of nervous system.
Which is an interesting comment.
Handles pressure. Catch made for the first down again by Jason Witten.
Yeah, there's lots of ways to describe good quarterbacks, but all the good ones have what Tony has. It's, the ability to bounce back and deal with adversity, and the quarterbacks playing for Dallas this year just haven't dealt with that very well.
And it doesn't have to be necessarily a first rounder. Certainly Romo, who was not selected. And you look at Kirk Cousins as the catch is made by Devin Street. Kirk Cousins in the 4th rounder. Cousins said it was interesting when he was first drafted. He remembered Aaron Rodgers. He studied him, and Aaron Rodgers saying the number one factor for a quarterback was having confidence. And he said, I was about to disagree with that until I got into the game and realized that you do need that along with other factors. But when you have that, your team follows you. Kellen Moore over 400 yards passing. Darren McFadden, who's knocked out at the 29.
He also said, and this is one of the valuable things I took away from talking to Kurt yesterday, is ask him about talking about takes failures at times to figure out who you are. And he said, you're painfully reminded when you're not at your best what it takes to be your best. And having to do that and sit on the sideline and fail at being a quarterback when he's getting his opportunity really pumped him up into the player that he has been this year.
Kellen Moore trying to prove he belongs in the NFL. Incomplete. McFadden couldn't hold on. Well, Tony Romo certainly had to work his way up to a starting position and the superstar that he became.
Well, they're all waiting for next year. I know they're finishing the year and they're playing hard, or at least up until this game they were playing hard, putting in some close losses, I guess a good way to say it. But they are ready for Tony Romo to be back in 2016. It's a future draft pick for you there. He's got his helmet ready.
He's all ready to take a hit. Kellen Moore for Bryce Butler. He held on to the sideline and kept the feet in.
Well, the Redskins playing all this zone coverage now, giving Kellen Moore an opportunity to find some of these easy completions. But yeah, you got to be impressed with the numbers he's put up today. He's delivered some nice passes when they've needed them. The turnovers in the red zone have hurt the outcome of this game, obviously. But Kellen Moore's put some good stuff on tape, I think, tonight.
We got 52 Boston.
Bryce Butler cannot get to that one out of bounds. Checking some of those scores, the Jets, if they win, they're in the playoffs, but Rex Ryan and Buffalo holding the 4th quarter lead. The Steelers can get in with a Jets loss, and they have the advantage over Cleveland just under 2 minutes now in Buffalo. What a disappointment that would be for Todd Bowles, the first-year head coach, Ryan Fitzpatrick. The Jets miss. Kellen Moore, incomplete. Witten was in the area. It's 3rd and goal. Later today on Fox, some will see the Carolina Panthers go for the number 1 seed. Arizona could get it if Carolina loses and the Cardinals defeat Seattle. Some will see that game. New England is trailing Miami with 2 minutes to go. The the #1 seed in the AFC isn't exactly locked up. Broncos play later, and so does Kansas City. End zone, Cole Beasley with a Cowboy touchdown.
Well, can't salvage it all, Joe Barry, as you stand on the sideline. The Cowboys have been down here now 3 trips in a row. The previous 2 ended in a touchdown, but Kellen Moore, ball gets tipped at the line of scrimmage, but Cole Beasley finds a soft spot in that zone in the end zone. He gets a touchdown.
Kellen Moore with a 3-touchdown game, over 430 passing yards against a beat-up Washington secondary that's protecting a sizable lead from the opening quarter. Dan Bailey with the extra point. Let's check back in with Mike Hill. Mike?
All right, guys, America's Game of the Week coming up next. Most of you guys will see this one, a great NFC West matchup. Russell Wilson and the Seahawks, very dangerous, though, coming off a loss last week against MVP candidate Carson Palmer and the Cards, who still have a shot at home field in the NFC with a Carolina loss and a win by them.
Thanks, Mike. And, Ronnie, it gives us time to talk about the Redskins. Would it be Seattle if it's Minnesota or Green Bay? Washington, we know, gets to host next weekend. What do you think? Let's start with the Seattle matchup.
Yeah, I think they're all tough matchups for Washington. They're going to host the game up in D.C., and you got to think that if they're not able to run the ball against some of those teams, they have no chance. And we've seen the ups and downs of Seattle this year. It's interesting you talk about winning close games, and Dallas has lost so many. They're 2-6 in games decided by 7 points or less. Well, Seattle's only 2-5 in games decided by 7 points or less. So, Washington can make it a close game against Seattle is probably their best chance. But some of those other matchups are tough.
Washington hoping to get out of here with a win. It's a 2-possession game. Dallas, all 3 timeouts likely to try. With just over 4 minutes to go, the onside kick. See the good hands, folks, from the Redskins up. Let's see how they play it. And it is a dribbler that is bouncing around. The Redskins had their hands on it. Did they hold it? Yes, they did. Washington takes over possession of the football. Wednesday night, Big East Hoops, a doubleheader. 16th ranked Villanova taking on Seton Hall, and 6th ranked Xavier battling St. John's. Coverage at 7 Eastern, 6 Central. You're home for Big East Hoops, FS1. Still the likelihood that if it's not Seattle, Green Bay or Minnesota going to Washington.
Well, that'll be a great game this afternoon, this evening, I guess. Green Bay, Minnesota fighting for that division title in the North.
180!
Pierre Thomas on the carry. And a timeout used by Dallas. Well, you see how quickly things can change. So if you're Cowboys, you're a fan of the Cowboys, you don't need to be discouraged. Last year you were in the playoffs, you slipped this time. Washington was last in the division last year. Now they win the division. What optimism do you have for Dallas going forward through the offseason and next year?
Well, Tony Romo will be back. There were some positives, I think, that showed up on defense this year. They played hard. They never quit on football games. They didn't win any of them. I mean,
you mean in that 7-game slide?
The problem.
They couldn't finish.
That was the problem. They couldn't
Jason
finish
Garrett
football games. Yeah, but you got to love that they didn't give up, and there's some moxie, or I guess some gut feelings about this team that will come back and help you down the road. Tough seasons, adversity sometimes help good football teams, and if this is a good football team, they'll show up next year.
Timeout for Dallas, and just like a tough year for Jay Gruden last year, they learned some things and decided to go with Kirk Cousins this year, and he lit up the opening quarter here. Said he wanted to play in this finale, this final tune-up for Washington before the postseason, with 3 first-quarter touchdown passes.
He was fantastic before they took him out of the game. Exactly what you want out of your quarterback playing in his last tune-up before the playoff game. Kirk Cousins, great year this year.
And seems to have, teams have rallied around the rest of the team, not just the offense, but the defense as well. I was talking to Scott McCloughan. He said this morning when he came down to get on the bus to come over to the stadium, he said there was Kirk Cousins sitting with 7 or 8 offensive linemen, talking not only about the game plan, but just that kind of relationship with his teammates. Cut down the interceptions, loaded up on the touchdowns as Chris Thompson carries. Inside the 40, Dallas will use another timeout. Here's Mike Hill.
Jets winning Buffalo. They're in the playoffs. Not going to happen. Bills up 22-17 in the fourth. Ryan Fitzpatrick picked off by A.J. Tarpley. Bills run out the clock. They win at 22-17. Steelers win about 16 late. If they hold on, Pittsburgh is the 6th seed in the AFC. Chris, run it back.
Wow, Mike, you think when teams need to win, it should automatically happen, but the team on the other side has something to play for as well. Miami is leading New England 20-10 with just about a minute to play down there.
Oh, it's crazy. Last week, Pittsburgh had an opportunity to win and get themselves in the playoffs. They don't. There's not many games at the end of the year that matter. There's a couple of them in the AFC.
Yeah, fourth down here. They're going to go for it to keep the clock running because Dallas is out of timeout. Excuse me, Rondé. So they need 2 yards.
Now, this is an interesting call. I mean, you're on the 40-yard line. There's really no need to punt this. If you can convert a first down here, Washington essentially can run the clock out.
Colt McCoy to throw for the first down and gets it. It's Jamison Crowder, who, along with Terrence Williams over on the Cowboys sideline, has the other side. Big numbers today for both of those young receivers. Ron Marinelli frustrated.
Yeah, you've seen a lot of play-action boots from the Redskins. It's not usually a big part of their offense, but today, you get a team that's going to play aggressive, thinking you're going to run the football, and just a miscommunication again on that Dallas side, and Crowder is wide open for an easy completion of the first down.
5 catches, over 100 yards for him and a touchdown. Williams leading Dallas with 8 catches, over 170 yards. No timeouts, Cowboys. Aaron Thomas. And Houston winning. So the Texans and Bill O'Brien win the AFC South. The Colts, who had quarterback injuries and difficulty, doesn't matter what they do. And Miami has defeated New England 20-10. So that means if the Broncos beat San Diego later at home, the Broncos, remember they beat New England head-to-head, they could be the #1 seed in the AFC.
Works by 5.
NFC still to be decided, the #1 seed, either Carolina or Arizona.
180.
Straight ahead, Thomas. We'll have the 2-minute warning, and other than a penalty, the Redskins will hope that clock keeps running and no stoppage to get out of town, get back and work on. They've already started, really, the staff breaking down the 3 possibilities of who they might be facing that we've mentioned in the playoffs next weekend.
Well, in my mind, the wild card weekend is the most important weekend in football. Getting guys active early in the playoff. You get that different blood flowing in your system, and the Redskins got a chance. Playing hot coming into the break.
We have hit the 2-minute warning here in Texas. Closing out the regular season, Carolina later today they'll play Arizona. Also playing later today against Seattle, that #1 seed in the NFC to be decided. And the NFC North, will it be the Packers or the Vikings? And which team will Washington host? Aaron Thomas gets the first down. Deshaun Phillips, who left on a stretcher, the Redskin defensive back from Texas, as they're going at it. Other than being at a nearby hospital, we have no further information on that, or we would have reported that before we left the broadcast here. And the rivalry continuing. The Redskins will even the score this year at 1-1 after Dallas won that crazy Monday night game in the popular head-to-head series.
I think most importantly, though, Chris, they are playing their best football at the right time of the year. Win 4 games to end the season. Really convincing fashion. Last week against Philly, today against Dallas. Quarterbacks playing fantastic. Again, keep saying that. Defense has done enough. Created some turnovers down there in the red zone, which you always want to pat your back on, taking away scoring opportunities for your football team. But a lot of credit to Jay Gruden. What he did with this unit all year long, he's got them in the playoffs playing really hot football.
Not many predicting Washington at the start of the season to win this division. Bill Callahan, the offensive line coach for Jay Gruden. And the Redskins, 4-game win streak, a 9-7 record. Jason Garrett and the Cowboys will fall to 4-12 and reload in the offseason and welcome back the health of Des Bryant and Tony Romo. And the Redskins know with Kirk Cousins probably the decision of the year, and certainly he backed it up. How far can they go in the playoffs? He'll have a lot to say about that. Colt McCoy finishing up a terrific season for the Redskins. With Rondé Barber, Chris Myers, our entire crew. Appreciate you watching with us as the Redskins finish on a high note, winning 34-23 and move on to the playoffs.